So, of course, our leading story for today is the opening of Man of Steel. The new Warner Brothers Superman film flew into AMC Theatres everywhere this past weekend and set a new June opening record by taking in $113 million officially over the weekend and $125 million overall. John, you actually predicted the over-under number of $110 million.
I'm very smart.
What do you think about the $113 million the film made this weekend?
Yeah, I am very smart. I stagger myself sometimes. But although I will say this, I set the over under number at 110 million. So I said that's probably where it's going to be, and I took the under. So I was wrong. I was pretty damn close. Now, some people will say, well, John, wait a minute. I'm reading in some places 113 million. I'm reading in some places 125 million. Here's how it works. Officially, opening weekends are counted from the midnight screenings on for the weekend. Any special screenings that happen before midnight, like the special Walmart 7 p.m. screenings that happened on the Thursday, and that Dark Knight had as well, and that Avengers had, those numbers aren't counted towards the opening weekend box office numbers. So those opening Walmart screenings took in about 12 million, which is why you get 125. The actual official opening weekend number is 113. It was the same thing with Avengers. Avengers, the opening weekend was, I think, 207 million. But if you counted the special screenings they had the 24 hours before, it was actually more like 220 million. But anyway, official number, opening weekend, 113 million. This is higher than where WB anticipated it was going to be. They've got to be thrilled with this. Now, there are some crazy people, like our very own John Schnepp, crazy man, who try to tell me, no, John, this is going to go north of 150 million. I keep telling you, of course it's not going to go 100, because it was facing an uphill battle. All right, now I've said this before, but let me reiterate. You had Iron Man 3 makes 170 plus million opening weekend because it had huge momentum. Not only was it part 3 of a series, but it was just coming off of Avengers. You know, the biggest box office movie opening of all time. Biggest box office comic book movie of all time as well. And that everybody loved. So it had huge momentum. Whereas Man of Steel, we haven't had one since a Superman movie since 2006. And that one, most people don't think of very fondly. I do personally, but most people don't. And so it had an uphill battle. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, though, Man of Steel 2 is going to beat the opening weekend numbers of Iron Man 3. It's going to go north of 170 million because now it's got positive thing to work off of. I think these numbers are great. For the uphill battle it had to face, they at Warner Brothers, they should be doing songs and dances in their offices right now over these numbers. They should be thrilled. And with positive word of mouth, which most people, this thing's got an A- rating on CinemaSource audience rating. It's got an 86%, I believe, audience rating from Rotten Tomatoes. It's going to have good word of mouth. This thing's going to make them a lot of money, and so they should be very happy. Dennis, how do you see this whole thing?
I think it's great. It's a positive step, especially for the next Man of Steel, which is, I'm sure, going to come very, very soon.
Which we'll talk about shortly.
Yeah. One of our viewers had asked me on Facebook, like, what I thought, and I actually had predicted 130 million, but I was being very optimistic. Right. So, even though it didn't make that, it's still, it's well within range, and plus the positive buzz is going to keep it high in the box office ratings for weeks to come.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing, is that it's going to keep going versus drop off.
Yeah, I still don't think it's going to be number one at the box office next weekend with World War Z and Monster University opening, but it's going to do well.
Yeah.
I think it's going to do well because people, like audiences, seem to be really loving it, and I think it's just going to continue to roll.
And it seems like a lot of people were really waiting to see what people thought after this weekend before they went to see it. There's a lot of people I know that haven't went yet, so it'll just get bigger.